For PokerGaming.com, this is James Gwill. Event number 27 of the 2010 World Series of Poker was the $1,500 7-card stud high-low split event. Now this field started with 644 players, and they all wanted to take home the gold bracelet and $208,682. Now day one saw a lot of pros, amateurs, and stud high-low specialists that wanted to take their shot at this bracelet. Some of those included Phil Hellmuth, Tom Dwan, Howard Lederer, Norman Chad, Phil Ivey, and yours truly. Yes, I, James Gwill, entered this event as well. Believe it or not, I was actually the chip leader early on in this event. However, after dinner, I was not able to catch a single pot. I had a lot of good hands and I had a lot of good draws. Unfortunately, I had very little success in making any of my draws. As a result, I ended up going out somewhere around level 6. 400 other players ended up joining myself on the rail, and day one finished with just 208 players. Day 2 saw the money bubble burst, and among those that made the money in the event was Doug Carley, Phil Ivey, Scott Clements, Chris Reslock, Vince Bergio, and Dutch Boyd. Day 3 started with 23 players all looking to make the final table of this event and ultimately take down the bracelet. The final table of this event was headlined by David Levi, Alan Berry, and Karina Jett. Karina was the 4th woman to make a WSOP final table this year and the 3rd professional, or shall we say, big name professional to make the final table of a WSOP event this year. Now, Alan Berry was at the 2nd final table for this WSOP as well. David Warga was also at the final table, and he was actually one of the only bracelet winners at this final table. He had a bracelet from the 2002 Casino Employees event. And as many of you may know, pretty much the Casino Employees event is considered by many Mr. Irrelevant as far as the bracelet events go for the year, because basically about a week, sometimes even the next day after the person wins it, the person really isn't remembered. They might get a mention the next year when the event is played, especially if they try to defend the bracelet, but usually they're never heard from again. Anyway, some of the other players at this final table included Christopher George, Chris Treva, Maxwell Troy, and Jonathan Bascom. Now, both Jett and Levi would falter, and Jett ended up finishing 4th in this event, with Levi finishing in 3rd. Now, heads-up play actually was between the 2002 Mr. Irrelevant, David Warga, and Maxwell Troy. Warga started heads-up play with a 4-to-1 chip lead, holding $2.35 million to just $555,000 for Troy. Now, with limits of $60,000 and $120,000, it did not take long before Troy had to put all his chips in. He was all in on 3rd Street, holding a Jack-9-7 against a 3-5-6 of Warga. Warga caught a pair of 6s on 4th Street, and then running 7s on 5th and 6th Street for 7s up. At this point, Troy had 4 cards to a king-high straight, and he had to catch a queen in order to win the hand. Otherwise, Warga would take home the bracelet. Now, Troy caught a 10 on the river to finish up with just a pair of 10s, and David Warga is our champion. Now, David Warga is the first person in the history of the World Series of Poker to win an open bracelet event after winning the Casino Employees event. Well, nobody will probably remember his bracelet win in 2002 other than him and maybe the guy that he beat. A lot of people will remember this strong finish, and the next time he makes the final table of a WSOP event, he can actually make the claim that he is a 2-time WSOP champion. He takes home the gold bracelet and $208,682. For more, stay tuned for PokerGaming.com as we bring you more coverage and recaps from the 2010 World Series of Poker. For PokerGaming.com, this is James Gwill.